My sister ruined her life and is trying to ruin mine. I am 46F, married with 2 kids. My sister is 40F, unmarried with 3 sons. Both of us grew up in hell. My mother is 9 kinds of psychopath and also a covert narcissist. To say that we were emotionally abused is a gross understatement. Both of us were vomited into adulthood with less than 0 applicable skills in accounting, interpersonal relationships, emotional intelligence, workplace management, or self-confidence. My sister was always very pretty and had great physical attributes. I, on the other hand, was always mean, too smart for my own good, cunning and solitary. I was never physically attractive, and my only positive attributes were my wicked intellect and my strident ferocity. I didn't do very well in life for a long time. I was the scapegoat and black sheep, and I loved it. I had very low contact with my family on both sides, and I preferred it that way. In years long past, I was the worst. I hit the road hard, rolled, got up, spit blood, and dusted myself off, and I fought everything and everyone with the hottest rage for a long time. However, I was always too arrogant to hurt myself in any permanent way. I ended up doing a few really bad things, but nothing that I ended up having to pay for severely in the long run. No hard drugs or diseases, super thankful, really lucky. When I was 30, I met my current husband. It's not hyperbole tanze that he saved my life. It's hard to explain, but he became my best friend and my lifelong partner. It's been a very hard decade. We managed to heal each other, somehow become magically more emotionally stable, and now he has his literal dream job that has slowly edged us into financial stability, to a degree. We're not rich by any means, but we get by. My sister, on the other hand, has lived with her father for the last decade, and he did basically everything for her. She spent much of that time getting drunk and sleeping while maintaining the least responsible job she could find, just to pay some bills. She collected the huge child tax credits every year and blew it all on extravagant spending and vacations. And furniture, just real stupid crap. Then she'd come home with all of these insanely promiscuous stories about her wild Mexico adventure, kids with our mother the whole time, mind you. A little meaningless gift for me, and then get all upset when I couldn't act excited for her. I have spent all of this last decade begging her to see reality. Her father had diabetes and heart disease for more than a decade, and finally did pass away last year. She has 3 sons, fathered by 2 of the worst meth freaks anyone had ever known. Literally, it was amazing how anyone, anywhere, would think to receive sperm from these monsters. But my sister had 1 son with the worst, and 2 sons with the second worst. I don't think I need to say that she was left ridiculously high and dry with 0 support and 0 father figures for her sons. They've spent the greater part of the last 18 years in prison or recovery, and I guess just recently they both decided they were too old for the party life anymore and have calmed down. I don't know the details, only what I've been told by her. She still has 0 relationship with either of them. I think the second one is dying in prison. Now she has to do life on her own. This has been my sister for the last 40 years. She always finds a way to manipulate people into doing everything for her. She lies about everything. She will lie about obvious shit and then act like she never said it. She never tells me the truth about anything. And then when shit blows up, I find that I've given money to unsolvable issues. I've given time to worthless ventures. And I've emotionally invested in things that turned out to be manipulations. As soon as her father passed, she did exactly what I knew she would do, and hunted down the first worthless POS she could find and moved herself and her kids in with him. She ended up pregnant, and then he kicked her out 4 months into the street, and moved another girl in with him. Locked all her stuff in his basement, had a huge legal fight. She lost all of her stuff when his basement flooded. And then she was homeless, living on one of her FB acquaintances' couch with her 3 sons. She will not move in with me, because she knows that I will hold her feet to the fire and make her take responsibility for herself, and she avoids that like the plague, even at this desperately late date. She had the baby and then gave her up for adoption, and I somehow managed to convince her to get her tubes tied, which I am unbelievably thankful for. Now she is nearing homelessness again because she can't keep a job. She will literally end up homeless with no transportation because she won't keep a job she doesn't like. And she moved out of our large city to a neighboring town with no resources or jobs just to afford a place to live. She has completely drained all of her acquaintances of all sympathy because she lies to them and uses them. She has borrowed thousands of dollars from these women, and now that she has nothing and no one to turn to, she is calling me talking about self-harming. I literally have no idea what to do. She resents the hell out of me because of my happy marriage and my happy kids and my seeming ability to manage shit now. She seems to think that I will just allow her to crash into my life whenever she gets depressed or forced into another corner. The thing is, I'm barely holding on. I'm on like 3 different antidepressants, and my surly, gritty rage is all that is fueling me. I have a very happy marriage and my husband is my rock. We are best friends forever and we will die together. But day-to-day life is very hard for me. A lot of the shit I used to do just does not work for me anymore. I cannot catastrophize and throw myself into a tantrum whenever things go south. As a mother and the house manager, I've learned the very hard way to set my emotional reactions aside and enact solutions immediately instead of falling off a cliff dramatically. Then I deal with the emotions later. Of course, it doesn't feel as satisfying as freaking out and putting everyone in their place and having a huge baby fit. But now, my life is starting to look a lot more glued together, and I know it's because of my resolve and determination to manage myself a lot better, take control of my mental health, and actively drive my own life instead of being dragged along on the highway out the door. You might say I nuked the generational trauma in our family. I didn't do it elegantly, and it wasn't with a pretty pink bow, but here I am. My kids aren't perfect, but I can say with pride that they are very well loved, and I've been transparent with them about my struggle to be a better person. I cannot be around my mother at all, and as much as I try to be stalwart and supportive to my sister, her constant lying and adolescent addiction to drama and attention are things I cannot tolerate anymore. She just cannot act like an adult. I mean, even if it's just an act, man. Come on. She has 3 sons and all of them are profoundly damaged. Her father beat the shit out of me for a decade while I was a kid, and then he beat the shit out of her kids while she was living with him. She lied to CPS repeatedly, and we were no contact for a long time after she rebuked me for reporting him. Those kids are a lost cause. That hurts massively bad to say it, but it's the truth. Even if they ended up with me tomorrow, there would be no loving them into self-confidence and capability. It's just not going to happen. And the last time we talked about it, she said she was going to give her kids to her other sister, who hates her, just because she has money. Like, to my face, she said this. Her sister is an evil, heartless bitch who values money over everything else, hasn't dealt with any of her trauma, and runs her house like a fortress and terrorizes her husband and children. Not the best choice, but that's where they're going, if anything happens to her. This Thanksgiving, we planned a huge dinner. I spent over $300 on food and decor and cooked for 2 weeks for this dinner. They came over briefly, and no one ate anything. Then, when I offered her to take leftovers, she said that they had stuff in the car, meaning she had gone somewhere else before my house at 4 p.m. So the gigantic dinner we had planned for a month just got fucked, and her kids didn't even eat, and she barely ate. And now I'm pissed off about that, even though it's a small thing, I guess, because in the end, it's about respect. I didn't want a parade or anything, but a heartfelt wow or two, and a couple plates for all would have gone a long way. Instead, I was just the second stop. Her kids were already full, and she skedaddled early, abandoning movie night plans and everything. Now I'm pissed off over this stupid crap, and I just don't have the emotional energy to keep getting played by her. I just don't. I just can't do this anymore. My life requires careful attention, and so does my mental health. She already knows the address of the house we bought, so cutting her off will require artful delicacy and smooth deception, 2 things I am extraordinarily bad at. I try to keep it low contact, but now that she needs help constantly, she calls all of the time. Like, 3 times a week, an emergency self-harm call. I can't do it anymore. I can't be upset all the damn time over her life while trying to navigate my own. Does anyone have any words of wisdom? I'd appreciate it. I'm pissed, but I'm not heartless. But this is literally draining me. It's a bottomless pit of bullshit. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more amazing content.